The Toronto Maple Leafs are heading into a pivotal off-season, with reports indicating the team is actively pursuing several veteran players on short-term deals to reshape their roster. Major changes could be on the horizon, as the franchise looks to move past another disappointing playoff run. If you enjoy staying up to date with all the latest NHL news and rumors, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more updates on the Toronto Maple Leafs and the rest of the league. Toronto Maple Leafs reportedly eyeing several veteran players on short-term contracts. The Toronto Maple Leafs are heading into the off-season with some financial flexibility, and recent reports suggest they are focusing their efforts on signing multiple veteran players to short-term agreements. After yet another disappointing playoff exit in the 2024-25 season, a year many hoped would finally break the cycle, General Manager Brad Treliving has already vowed to implement significant changes to the core identity of the team. Speculation has largely centered around the likely departure of Mitch Marner, a move that now seems all but inevitable. Fans and analysts alike have floated names such as Sam Bennett and Brad Marchand as potential free agent acquisitions to help reshape the roster. According to NHL insider Chris Johnston, Toronto is also reportedly considering other experienced players, with Johnston mentioning not only Marchand but also Claude Giroux, Jamie Benn, and Patrick Kane as possible targets for short-term deals. Bringing in one of these seasoned veterans could bolster the lineup, providing leadership and experience, particularly in the latter stages of the season. However, while veteran presence is valuable, there is a clear recognition that the Maple Leafs need to inject youthful, dynamic talent capable of making an impact during the Stanley Cup playoffs. A player like Bennett could be an ideal fit for this type of role, but depth additions such as Benn, Giroux, or Kane could also prove beneficial. At this point, the direction Toronto will take remains uncertain. Treliving has made it clear that significant changes are on the horizon, particularly with both Marner and possibly John Tavares being linked to potential exits. This summer represents a pivotal moment for the general manager to leave his mark on the franchise. Whether the Leafs choose to pursue veteran free agents, invest in emerging young talent, or explore the trade market in search of a marquee player, it is evident that substantial changes are coming. Fans can expect the lineup that takes the ice in October to look noticeably different from the team that finished the season just weeks ago. General Manager Brad Treliving has already made it clear that big changes are coming to the team's core identity. After another early playoff exit, it's no surprise that the Leafs are exploring all options to reshape their roster and finally make a deeper postseason run. One of the biggest storylines this offseason is the potential departure of Mitch Marner, a move that many insiders believe is almost inevitable at this point. His exit would create significant cap space and open the door for Toronto to target key free agents. NHL insider Chris Johnston recently reported that the Leafs are keeping an eye on several veteran players, including big names like Brad Marchand, Claude Giroux, Jamie Benn, and Patrick Kane. These are players with tons of experience who could add leadership and depth to the lineup, especially for those critical playoff moments. While adding a veteran presence could certainly help, many believe the Leafs also need to bring in younger, high-energy players who can perform under the pressure of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Names like Sam Bennett have been floated as ideal fits to help change the team's identity and playoff success. With rumors swirling about potential trades involving Marner and even captain John Tavares, this offseason could mark a major turning point for the franchise. Brad Treliving has promised that significant changes are on the way, and fans are eagerly waiting to see what moves he makes. So, what do you think? Should the Leafs focus on bringing in veteran leadership, or is it time to invest in younger, more dynamic players? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. The 2024-25 season was supposed to be different. After years of early playoff exits and a fanbase growing increasingly frustrated, many believed this was finally the season where the Leafs would take the next step. But yet again, they fell short in the postseason, sparking widespread criticism and calls for change. General Manager Brad Treliving didn't waste any time addressing the media after the team's elimination, making it clear that significant changes were coming. He emphasized that the DNA of this team needs to evolve. And honestly, after multiple seasons with the same core group underperforming when it matters most, who can blame him? For years, the Leafs have been known for their top-heavy roster, built around superstars like Auston Matthews, Mitch Marner, William Nylander, and John Tavares, but lacking the necessary depth and grit to compete deep into the playoffs. Now, with Mitch Marner's future in Toronto hanging by a thread and even rumors swirling about the possibility of moving captain John Tavares, it feels like we are on the verge of a true reset, or at least a significant retooling of this roster. The free agent targets. So, who exactly are the Leafs looking at? According to insider Chris Johnston, the team has their eyes on several veteran players, and these aren't just depth pieces. We're talking about big names here. Brad Marchand, the longtime Boston Bruins agitator and star forward. He brings a rare combination of offensive production and playoff intensity. Imagine the irony of seeing Marchand in a Leafs jersey after years of being their rival. But love him or hate him, he's exactly the kind of gritty, experienced player the Leafs have been missing in the postseason. Claude Giroux, another veteran with a wealth of playoff experience. Giroux may not be the same player he was in his prime with the Flyers, but his leadership, hockey IQ, and versatility could make him a valuable addition to the Leafs' middle six. Jamie Benn, a hard-nosed power forward who's been the heart and soul of the Dallas Stars for over a decade. Benn brings physicality, leadership, and that never-back-down attitude that Toronto has often been accused of lacking. Patrick Kane, a three-time Stanley Cup champion and one of the most skilled players of his generation. Despite some injury concerns, Kane still has the potential to be an offensive difference-maker in the right situation. These are all players who have been through the wars of the NHL playoffs. They know what it takes to win. And for a team like Toronto, which has struggled to translate regular season success into postseason victories, that kind of experience could be invaluable. The pros and cons of adding veterans. But let's take a moment to consider both sides of this strategy. On one hand, bringing in seasoned veterans on short-term deals is a relatively low-risk move. These players can provide leadership, help stabilize the locker room, and bring the kind of playoff pedigree that's been missing from this team for years. On the other hand, there's the risk of leaning too heavily on aging players whose best days may be behind them. The NHL is getting faster and younger, and there's always the danger that adding veterans could slow the team down or clog up spots that could be given to emerging talents. Also, let's not forget the salary cap implications. Even if these veterans are willing to sign short-term deals, they won't come cheap. The Leafs need to be careful about how they allocate their cap space, especially with the uncertainty surrounding Marner's and potentially Tavares contracts. The Mitch Marner situation. Speaking of Marner, his situation is undoubtedly the biggest storyline of this offseason. Potential for youth movement. Now, while veterans are on the radar, there's also talk about the need for a youth movement in Toronto. Players like Matthew Knies, who showed flashes of brilliance this past season, and prospects like Fraser Minton and Easton Cowan could be ready for more significant roles. Integrating these young players into the lineup could give the Leafs the kind of speed, energy, and hunger they've been missing. But it also comes with risks. Young players can be inconsistent, especially under the bright lights of playoff hockey in Toronto. That's why finding the right balance between adding veterans and promoting young talent is crucial for Treliving as he looks to reshape this team. The future of John Tavares. Another question mark, John Tavares. The captain has been a key figure since signing in Toronto, but there's no denying that his game has declined somewhat with age. There are whispers, though nothing confirmed, that Tavares could be asked to waive his no-move clause if the Leafs decide to go for a full retool. Moving Tavares would be a monumental shift, not just from a hockey perspective, but also in terms of the locker room dynamic. However, it could also provide the cap relief necessary to pursue multiple impact players in free agency or via trade. What should the Leafs do? So now we turn it over to you, the fans. Should the Leafs focus on acquiring proven veterans who can help lead the team deep into the playoffs? Or is it time to fully commit to a new era, moving on from core pieces like Marner and Tavares, and building around Matthews, Nylander, and a younger supporting cast? There's also the option of trying to do both, bringing in a veteran or two for leadership and depth while also giving their young prospects a chance to shine. What direction do you think makes the most sense for the Maple Leafs right now? Let us know in the comments section. We'd love to hear your takes. Final thoughts. One thing's for sure, this offseason will be one of the most important in recent Maple Leafs history. Brad Treliving has made it clear that he's not afraid to make bold moves,